Said no more!
Victory is written! Immortals play no
What's up, guys? Welcome to week 2 of Icons 2022. We are coming to you live from the Suntech Convention Center in Singapore for day 1 of the group stages. I'm Mika Fabs, and joining me for complete coverage of today's 4 matches are Hell's Devil and it's Stewart. Hello, gentlemen. How are you feeling? New phase of Icons 2022 over here.
Oh, I'm so excited. We're finally gonna see the #1 teams. We had a week of play-ins, the games were great, but now we're gonna see the real guys, right?
Exactly. And there's, of course, a big question as to whether these teams are actually as scary as everybody's making them out to be.
Yeah, the first seeds are coming in from all over the world, you know, from Europe, from China as well. We're going to be seeing the first seed, SCA as well. I'm really excited to get into today's games.
That's right. But before we do, we mentioned it's a new stage. If you do open up your Wild Rift game as well, there is a new phase, there is a new event, and I know everybody's been wondering whether the 2 new champions that have just joined the Drift will be at Icons 2022. And unfortunately, it's not going to be that exciting. Come on, we do want our teams to be well prepared for anything that might come their way. So no, Nautilus and Pike will not be joining Icons 2022. But rest assured, you could of course enjoy them. You guys were enjoying, enjoying them.
But we were enjoying it before the
just
broadcast.
Just a few minutes ago, by the way.
Pretty broken.
Oh, that's going to be so interesting then. Post-Icons, watch out for what we might encounter in the Rift. But of course, we started with 24 of the best Wild Rift teams from every region, and now we're down to the last 16. 8 teams were eliminated in the play-in stage, and 8 more will go home at the end of this week. This is a double elimination tournament, so 1 loss won't send you home, and that's good because this week the #1 seeded teams enter the competition. Hells, really curious. Do you think SCA and the Chinese region will continue to be dominant?
Right, the question, like all of the teams from SCA and China went up, and the question is, are they gonna be able to consistently beat out the #1 teams from other regions as well? It's going to be interesting to see how big the gap truly is, or whether there is even a gap, right? Because we haven't seen the top 1 teams yet. So I'm very curious to see what these games are going to be like.
Exactly. Stewart, what about you?
Yeah, like Hal said, you know, we've seen 3 teams from SEA, 3 teams from China as well, all go through. #1 seeds as well. You know, we got FPX, the #1 seed from China. We got Team Flash, the #1 seed from SEA as well. So going into group stage, it's important to see, you know, how that clash is going to be like as well. You know, who's the #1 region? Is it China? Is it SEA? Because the interesting thing is that China and SEA combined, when they didn't play against each other, they only dropped 1 game, and that was against Furious Gaming. That was when Furious Gaming took a game off Nova. So coming into group stage, SEA and China are dominant, but are they going to be as dominant against the #1 teams?
Exactly. But of course, the teams from the NA and E region did impress us at the play-ins, House. So I'm wondering what the top seed from these regions can bring.
Like, as we said, these are the top seeds, right? Like, the thing about the top 1 is they could be way better than the other teams, and we've seen it happen in a lot of regions as well. So yeah, the question is that gonna happen as well, right?
And we're gonna get some sort of answer to that today. May not be totally complete, of course, but it is going to be exciting. And you know, we have to bring up, when we talk about top 1, we have to bring up FPX.
Oh.
Yes, we have to bring up FPX. And I think everybody is wondering, everybody's been saying like, oh, you know, of course the Chinese region are incredibly scary, and they're like, you know, FPX, they're the top team in the region. Are they as scary? Everybody seems to be saying yes, they are as scary as everybody makes them out to be, Stewart. So jumping into, you know, this first series, we are going to see them first up, but I think they're going to be the barometer for which every team needs to play up against to see how well they stand.
And coming into this tournament, this was most of everyone's favorites. This is everyone's favorites coming into the tournament. You know, China, #1 seed, coming in as well. They're behind us as well now, getting ready for the first match of the day. And like you said, it's kind of really the bar to set. You know, if FPX come in and they show how strong they are, that's where everyone else needs to be like, okay, we need to step up to this standard.
And they were much better than in their respective region than the top 2, top 3, and top 4 teams. So that's what makes it even crazier to me, right? Because all of the Chinese teams were so incredibly well. And to have a team that's supposedly better or even much better than them, that's what sounds the craziest to me.
So it seems like, you know, the line's been drawn in the sand and everything with regards to the regions. I want to hear your bold predictions, though, if you think there are going to be any major upset, as major that, like, you know, that there was in the play-ins. Stuart, we'll start with you.
My bold prediction, I mean, I already got one bold prediction correct. I'm just saying this right now. You know, I got Lonely Kid, got the solo kill on Ysera. But for me, I feel like EU and NA, Team Queso Immortals are going to make it out of group stage. I'm saying it right now. I think, you know, coming into group stage.
That's a bold prediction, man.
It's as big as bold as what it gets.
It's bold with 1-0.
You know what? Sentinels beat Kwangdong Freaks. You know, coming into it as well, you got Immortals against KT Rollstar. So, you know, Korea might not be as strong as what we thought of coming into Icons. So, you know, Immortals against Korea, against Rollstar White is going to be an interesting one. And Team Queso as well, you know, they got a pretty good group. You know, J-Team, RRQ, and Sengoku, these are beatable teams for Team Queso. So that's my bold prediction.
And I'm going to continue about Team Queso, because of course I will, I'm from EU. And my bold prediction right here is that Andres Set, who is the jungler from Team Queso, is going to make a caster lose their voice at some point.
Why? Why is that?
Why? Good question. He's going to steal an Elder Dragon. He's going to reverse a game that's unwinnable. He's gonna get a pentakill. Rafa's gonna lose his lungs. Like they're not gonna survive. They're not gonna survive this guy.
I like how you're talking about it as if it's happened in the past.
It has happened. I lost my own voice to Andres. I've already lost my own voice, so it's gonna happen again.
There you go. So apparently this is one player to watch, and you guys have actually been selling him to me for a long time. I'm so excited to see him play. Are you guys ready for my bold prediction? I'm gonna hold on to my chair over here.
What is it? Tell us.
All SEA teams make it out of groups.
Oh.
And I know everybody's gonna look at the Group C, because that's such a debatable group over here. But right now we are seeing the predictions that we have who is making it out of Group B.
Wow.
So I am predicting.
I don't know if it's only me and you, Howls, that have gone for Team Queso. It's like everyone else has gone for, you know, RRQ, a little bit of Sengoku.
It's just us, yeah.
You have some Sengoku in there, yeah.
Team Queso.
And you're the only one that doesn't have RRQ either.
I love the copium.
True. I'm actually the only one that doesn't have RRQ. True.
I love it. I love it. I'm on the right desk to make that bold prediction. I just have to say. I am on the right desk for this, but yes. I'm trying to push for like all SEA teams making it out of groups, and I know that Group C has FPX in there.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
That's not happening, but it's a bold prediction. That's what it's about, right?
Exactly. It's you know, why not? I just throw it out there, and everybody knows I'm SEA. You know, one of SEA's biggest cheerleaders. So might as well stick to my guns. Let's take a look at our other predictions over here in Group C now. Eager to see what Group C has in store, and as I mentioned, I think you guys okay, we have a Flash Wolves from Stuart. Nice.
I feel like Flash Wolves could. I mean, I think FPX, you know, across the board is kind of expected, to be fair. But I think the other team, though, you know, we've got some Omega, some Flash Wolves, some Burium, and I think that's kind of the interesting thing about this group is you feel like you've got FPX at the top, but then underneath that, you've got these three teams that, you know, Burium and Flash Wolves, they came from play-ins, they look pretty strong. But Omega as well, you know, the Brazilian team coming into group stage, the #1 seed as well, they could pull up a few upsets.
I realize now that I put FPX over there, and that just contrasts.
That's how good they are. That's how good they are. They made you completely forget.
They made me
That's how good they are, right?
Exactly. It hasn't even begun, and I'm already struck by FPX. Exactly.
Mine's all over the place. You're like, yes, I want SEA teams to go through, but I don't want to lose my predictions.
Exactly. You know, I wanted to keep the aesthetic. Look at how neatly we all just decided, you know, FPX really is the strongest team that there is out there.
And it's me and Kangas who didn't even get a single SEA team out of this group, by the way.
I know. I like this desk. It's chaos desk. right now. But let's take a look at today's schedule where groups B and C start their push to knockouts. We have Flash Wolves meeting FPX. We have RRQ versus Sengoku, and we have J Team versus Team Queso, and Bariram United Esports versus Omega Esports. Of course, I have to ask. I mean, you guys are probably looking forward to Team Queso's debut here.
Well, yeah, I am definitely looking forward to Team Queso J. That's going to be a banger, but to be honest, the very first match is going to be like the best one for me. Like,
Exactly.
it's mostly just to see how good FPX really is, because I just want to see it. I keep saying it, I just want to see FPX.
Exactly. Stuart, what about you?
For me, Team Queso, as you just mentioned. But for me, you know, Omega against Barium is going to be a nice matchup for me. As a dual lane main myself, you know, Triple V against Aome in the bot lane. Both of these dual laners, they hate playing AP carries. They love the AD carries, you know, Dravens, Ezreals, Ashe, all this sort of stuff as well. So I'm really looking forward to that last game to see if they pull out the big guns, the big AD carries.
Yeah, and I love that as well, right? I was so sick and tired of the APCs every single game. Orianna, Corki, Ziggs. Indeed, these guys don't do it. I've seen it as well, so I'm super excited to see them as well, because we know what traditional ADCs can do. I believe the most pentakills that happened are from ADCs as well. Like, so many ADCs get those pentakills, so yeah, I want to see
the flashy stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we want
yeah.
We want the flashy stuff. And I'm also excited to see some of the Horizon Cup veterans play. We have Sengoku, we have Team Queso, and we have Rolster as well playing tomorrow. So they are the remaining teams from what was the inaugural, of course, global, sort of like the year zero for Wild Rift. So it's going to be interesting to see because they do have that sort of like previous international competition buff. So Stuart, I do want to see how Team Queso looks, especially since they will be carrying that. They do have that banner with them.
Yeah, the experience of being here before, being on the world stage before, so last year was Horizon Cup, this year is Icons. There are some returning members as well. So be interested to see, how they kind of adapt to this, new stage, new meta and everything as well compared to last year. But like you said, really excited to see them returning back.
And you know what I find the craziest is that there is only 3 teams from last year. Where are the other teams?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like that shows how big the competition truly was. Like the fact that the team that actually had won the entire tournament hasn't even qualified for the Icons. And
Exactly.
Team Seekers from SC. Like there's so many insanely good teams that didn't even qualify. That shows how good the teams in this tournament truly are right now.
Exactly. And I think for the WRL region, of course, that is, again, very scary for them because we saw how good those teams were at the Horizon Cup. We saw how insane. I do remember Huiba, for example,
yeah.
One of the best junglers that we've ever
He
seen.
was the
out
best
there.
jungler.
The best jungler.
Last year, he was the best
Exactly.
jungler. Yeah.
And it's just remarkable to see how fast-paced Wild Rift is evolving. Now we have a completely new set. We have a new top seed coming out of the Chinese region as well. So it's just incredibly dynamic. But I would love to see these teams in particular because they have been carrying that, from year zero all the way now to year one. I really do want to see what they have in store. But first up, you may not believe this, but Flash Wolves, they actually sound excited to play FPX. I'm excited as well. I mean, I guess they're up for that challenge. But if you guys don't believe me, here is their Dragon Later, Bruce.
大家好，我是来自闪电狼的飞龙路选手布鲁斯。在小组赛，我们应该比较想要强迫，应该是 FunPlus 这支队伍，就是他们是应该算蛮顶尖的队伍，然后我们想交手看看。我的冷静来自于我平常会做了很多关于比赛的训练，所以就是遇到再强的对手，我也不会紧张。我想成为 icon 的原因，是因为我想让大家了解电子竞技真正的乐趣，然后以及它的精彩程度。我觉得还蛮开心的。谢谢粉丝能支持我们到现在，然后进到16强，可以代表 WCS， 然后前进到这里，我觉得蛮光荣的。那希望你们可以继续支持我们下去。
I love how he's already saying, "Oh, thanks, we're gonna make it out."
Yeah, but he was also humble. Like, I love those types of players. He was very humble, but also confident, right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter how
Right
strong
mix.
they are, we're prepared. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That just shows that, Bruce is very, very confident. Bruce is the sort of player on Flash Walls where it's like sometimes everything is on his shoulders. So it just shows, he's confident against the #1 seed from China as well. It's going to be exciting to see.
But you can feel that he is confident. Like,
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of their games. He's always been okay. Like, he never really failed in a game, even when he was alone in his lane, even when Isan was roaming around all the time. Like, he's always been doing fine in his games, if not just carrying the game.
Well, if Bruce is excited to face FunPlus Phoenix, let's get right into it. You know how I was telling you guys this, at every monster movie, there's a big monster, and then there's like, no, there's something bigger. I feel like that's FPX right now. That is FunPlus Phoenix right here. We have heard so much about this roster. The questions, there have been like rumblings about like they are the scariest team indeed. And the answer everywhere seems to be yes, they are the scariest. All the rumors are true. They are a very, very good team, Hells.
Oh yeah, I asked around about them, and everyone told me like this is a different beast of a team. Like, every team is beatable, but this is a whole different beast, just like you said. So I just want to see these guys. It's just crazy, especially the jungler 0711. Like, this guy is apparently better than the jungler from Nova, who we said is the very best jungler in the play-ins as well.
And I can't imagine that.
I can't either.
Like, I don't know what that looks like. But Stuart, you also wanted to point out Lei, who is one of the players to watch out for.
Yeah, for sure. This, the support matchup in general, and Lei in the bot lane as well in the support. This support is super aggressive. He loves to go for flanks. I was watching the FPX in the finals as well against JDG. The flanking, the aggression, plays champions like Set, Alistar, Galio, and even Malphite as well that he pulled out with the center in the bot lane as well. This player just plays super aggressive. It's going to be interesting to see, if he can play the same aggression, if he has that same confidence coming into Icons, because, a world championship, sometimes players like to just calm down a little bit. They like to kind of build into the tournament, but some players just like to go all in aggression. I feel like that's what he's going to do.
I think that's what the whole thing's going to do. I feel like that's what we're in for with this series. But let's talk about FPX's opponent, Flash Wolves, the number 2 seed from SEA at Icons. Their 2 wins were over Gamelord, but they also lost 0-2 to Nova, which I think was interesting. That's why I feel like Flash Wolves right now, they may use this series to kind of like work out the kinks. But Hells, you mentioned how they do have some strengths.
So that's the thing, right? They lost against Nova, so you would say they're obviously going to lose to FPX as well, but that's not the case. This is a team that can win against anyone, and we saw how they do it. It's with their crazy rotations. Baya from the mid lane, Bruce from the dragon lane. They constantly roam around with the jungler Cookie. And then also Eason in the support. Like, these guys are roaming experts. So that's the one-way ticket for them to win the game, essentially. And if they cannot do that, I would say they lose, but I believe they could. If there's one team that could, it's Flash Wolves.
Thank you for that, by the way. Thank you for that.
He's on the same copium as you right now.
Yes, I love that it's infectious. Stuart, you did mention though that there are some weaknesses that Flash Wolves do need to work out.
Yeah, I felt like in that series against Nova, I felt like the draft for Flash Wolves was a little bit off. It was a little bit all over the place. Hopefully we'll get it up on screen as well. But Flash Wolves gave away so many priority picks over to Nova, over to a Chinese team. The Singe, the Senna, the Jax as well. You have to make sure you prioritize and ban these champions out, because if they're in the Chinese hands, these are the strongest champions in the entire game right now. And they went for this sort of a little bit of a weird comp where they go for like the Zed, the Corki, and the Yuumi. But when you're against like this full bruiser comp with the Singe, the Jax, and the Camille, there's not really much that you could do against it. So I really want Flash Wolves to try and ban out some of these champions that are really, really strong in the Chinese meta.
And I do want to bring up as well, this is more of I guess an external factor, not really an in-game factor, but the nerves of being on stage, because like Flash Wolves were able to break through those nerves. We actually saw them on their first game. Okay, well, during play-ins, a lot of the teams maybe looked a little shaky, maybe had a sacrificial game or two. I'm wondering if FPX are immune to that?
So no, the answer is no. Like, I've played on stages as well, and I've never been a top team. You don't really care too much if you're not a top team. But when you're FPX, who is the number 1 team, like, the nerves are gonna be even bigger. Because if you lose that, if you lose the first game, people are gonna be questioning you, like, how is this team the number 1? Their fans are gonna be like, what are you doing? They're gonna get trash talk, this and that. So the nerves are actually more on them than on Flash Wolves.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what I would say.
They can feel the pressure now coming in. As potentially the number 1 region, potentially the number 1 team, and the favourites coming into this tournament as well. First time on stage as well. Flash Wolves have played on stage a few times now. But FPX, they might have a little bit of pressure behind them.
There's a lot on the line, and there's a lot on the line for us as well as we jump into our predictions. This could determine
I wonder what it is.
So let's jump right into it. I am so eager to see what you guys have predicted. I think mine's going to be a surprise, by the way. I think it's mine's gonna be
you went for FPX?
Not so much. I just feel like today, for Flash Wolves, maybe not.
This is not okay.
This is really counteracting your bold prediction. It's like, bold prediction, I want both the SEA teams are going to go out. or go through, and now you're voting against them?
But it
So-
can still happen.
It could still happen. So I'm going to be like a little bit defensive here. I just feel like today, maybe not, because it might just be a shock and Flash Wolves might need to, digest all of the info. And then when they meet each other again, that's when they were able
But how?
So if Omega beat Buriram, then both Buriram and Flash Wolves are going to play in the lower bracket, so that means
that
your
my
bold
prediction
is gone. It's out of there. It's gone.
That's it. That's immediately gone. So I feel like yes, this is the all of the SEA copium is me right now. But we're gonna see what Flash Wolves have in store against the top seed from the WRL region. Of course, versus Flash Wolves Icons 2022 starts right now.
在竞技这一方面，本来就是弱强食。Eliminar alguém para passar de fase é um processo natural da competição. Eu olho eles com muito respeito, muita admiração. E pra gente ir mais longe para honrar a derrota deles. Todo competidor quer ser o melhor no que faz. Ser o melhor no que faz e ganhar o título mundial. 我天生下来，我的好胜心就特别强。我们来了。不要害怕，我们不会让你在新加坡待太久。
I'll live up to the hype. I'll live up to the hype.
The strong prey on the weak, and this team on your screen is the team to beat. The one everyone has been talking about, everyone has been hyping up. FPX are here at Icons.
They are the boogeyman Kangas. They are the ones that are here to prey on you. They are the predators, I guess, that will make that. And the first line of the song, did you hear that? I live up to the hype. That's what we're hoping from FPX today.
Hopefully they can deliver, but I don't think it's going to be much about hoping for them. I think it's hope for Flash Wolves, the opposition on stage right now. No strangers to pressure moments, no strangers to top-level competition. SEA is a strong region, but now we finally get to see SEA versus the WRL at the top of competition, and I'm so happy that we get a cast together for this one. Of course, I'm Kangas on Play-by-Play. Joining me is Omo as my color caster for the day, and everybody, we've been waiting for FPX to finally take to the stage so we can see what we expect to be the top level of competition in Wild Rift to look like, and now we finally get to see that.
They're the best of the best, Kangas. They basically destroyed every other WRL team, 4-1 in the grand finals against JDG as well. I'll be honest with you, I've been a little bit underwhelmed with the WRL. I say underwhelmed, but they only dropped one game the entire play-ins. That's how high my expectations were for them.
2 games, actually.
Well, 2 games,
but
yeah,
across 2 of the different teams. But still, it's a dominant region. They are incredibly strong, and when we ask about FPX, a lot of people, I asked you this, do they drop a game in group stage? And most people are saying, probably not.
Exactly.
They're probably just going to sweep their way through to the finals. We're basically just like putting them in the grand finals already.
I mean, I genuinely think there's a very good chance that happens, especially if they exit the group as the #1 seed. We're going to pick bans right now, and this is something you wanted to talk about, right? Will FPX show us how the method should be played?
We've seen a lot of champions that are high pick rate, low win rate in play-ins. And it makes me wonder, because I know teams are scrimming each other.
Yes.
I know that metas shape and evolve at these international events, but I'm curious, are some of these champions having low win rates because they're not being played correctly, and now we're finally going to see the #1 seeds in different regions show us how you're supposed to play some of those champions? One of them, I will give you a hint, has already been banned out, because I wanted to get your thoughts here. What are 2 champions that are in the top 10 most picked, but have 30% win rates?
All right, if you've given me the hint already, I think it's going to be Lee Sin.
Yes, that
Lee
is one of
Sin's
them.
the #1 bait champion. And I think #2 would be Lucian.
That is also
There
correct.
we go. We know Lucian's a bait champ.
Yeah, Lucian and Lee Sin have been played so much, and they both have very low win rates. Interestingly enough, no WRL team has played the Lucian.
Yes.
And they're the only region with a positive win rate on the Lee Sin. So, I think it makes sense to ban it away. Moral of the story, you don't want to give a player like 7-Eleven that Lee Sin power pick.
Definitely, and I think something that Cookie was talking about in the hype videos prior as well is you gotta be respectful of the Chinese junglers, of the WRL junglers. Lee Sin is the champion, lets them do the most in the early game, and look at that setup, Kangas.
Oh, that is beautiful. As we see the lock-in take life on the stage. I didn't know that was happening.
Yeah.
That was a surprise.
We're caught by
for me.
surprise too.
Wukong and Corki being answered there. Also 2 champions with very high presence. Wukong is the 2nd most picked champion in all of Icons. Corki is the #1 most picked champion in all of Icons. So already, we're starting to see FPX. They have a similar read on the meta that a lot of these other teams have shown us already.
Yeah, and I think that the WRL teams in particular have put a high emphasis on that Corki pick. They like to team fight, they like to objective fight, and Corki is amazing at these once he picks up the package. Flash Wolves, it's very clear what the comp is going for. Santa Graga's Dragon Lane. Cookie, carry us.
And both of these champions are very strong at those objective fights, at those setups. If they can get their ultimate synced together, the Wukong incredible engage, answered by the Jax and Gragas from Flash Wolves. More of a scaling style. I expect it to be the Senna and the Gragas going into that Dragon Lane now.
Oh my goodness. Kha'Zix.
It looks so cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what you would expect. If you see Kha'Zix in real life, I think it's pretty scary, kind of like that.
I feel bad for the analyst desk because they're like right next to them. I'd be terrified.
Good news is they're not isolated. There's 3 of them together, so
True.
they're fine.
All right, they don't take the extra damage. That's a saving grace right there. But it does mean a little bit more execute damage on top of this Wombo combo with the Wukong going in for the engage, Corki package on top. Kha'Zix can just clean up the kills.
And that's what we always talk about with Kha'Zix, right? Great assassin, he can clean up the kills, but he has good team fighting tools as well. You evolve the Void Spikes, you get the Cyrilda's Grudge, you're such a nuisance. And it's such a great combo with the team fighting comp that FPX have. You dive in, Kha'Zix leaps around, resets, cleans up.
And you can also pair that with the poke of the Corki. So 2 poke champs. Makes sense. Flash Wolves are taking away things like that Varus. That would just add like that extra layer that would be almost impossible to deal with.
Too much poke.
FPX focusing on some of these Baron laners instead. Garen and Shen taken off the table.
This is a very interesting situation to me. Flash Wolves banning away Dragon Laners, but Ashe is still available. Is this something Selma might opt to pick up here, or is he just going to stay with the Cocky, maybe go with a Kai'Sa, try to all in on the dive comp? I feel like that one might be a bit difficult for them to pull off, but I like that FPX are banning away Baron laners and also the Shen in particular. You don't want to let Cookie be empowered anymore.
What I want to see FPX do is lock in a support right now, because then you're still holding
there
that
we
Corki
go.
flex pick. This makes more sense to me. You're giving Yezi the opportunity of a counter pick right now, because there is always the opportunity to put Selma on that Corki instead.
And this gives you a couple of options here as well. You could go for the Xayah lane, you could go for the flex, but most importantly, let's see if they want to save the 5th pick, mid lane pick for Yezi.
It's going to depend on what Flash Wolves lock in here, because now they have to blind pick their mid laner. I mean, Gragas is also a flex pick, but we're going to know what their composition is. Nasus wasn't banned away. Maybe they go towards that instead, but I feel like that's too much scaling, and you just get shut out by this comp from FPX. So instead, they lock in something that can fight a little bit earlier. They go for the Akali.
Oh, I have a theory here, Kangas. With Akali being locked in, we know Bruce likes to play the carries. There's a real chance that Bruce takes the Akali to mid lane, and we see Baya play center Dragon Lane. I won't be surprised to see that from Flash Wolves.
Bruce does have that big champ pool.
He loves that champ.
Up during the play-in stage. He loves this champion. Let's see what they lock in for the support position. Okay,
Ysera's playing Akali here.
Yeah, I like it. They have the TF for some more global pressure. Senna can also provide some of that. It feels like we might get more of a 1-3-1 style based on Flash Wolves' comp.
Flash Wolves have a lot of ability to play around the side lanes as well, but you can't forget that this Twisted Fate is actually a great team fighter once you get the RFC. That's the setup for the picks here. But that Black Shield from the side of FPX's Morgana pickup, that one's going to be very effective. Dragon Lane Morgana.
In the later stage of the game, has decent wave clear, great pick potential, like you were saying, the Black Shield to stop the gold card, to stop the Senna route, and that means that it will be Yezi on that Corki in the mid lane, with 7-11 taking the Kazakhs in the jungle. FPX showing us what the #1 seed from WRL is prioritizing in the draft. I see a lot of champions that have been played by other teams, but again, things like the Kazakhs has an incredible low win rate. It's around the 40% there, being, I believe, the 4th most picked champion. 21 games, 42.86% win rate. Not a lot of regions have found success with the Kazakhs. Now we get to see the hyped up jungler piloted.
And that's something I kind of touched on a bit earlier as well. These picks are kind of bait picks. These picks are kind of scrim picks. You get elite, you pop off. It's harder to do on stage. That's why a lot of regions have been favoring these scaling pickups. Like the Cocky, you have a lot of safety on stage. You play out a long game, you know you're going to win eventually. But I love this draft from both of these teams. We kind of saw a chess match play out. We'll touch on that a little bit more once we get in game.
Exactly. And we also have to touch on when each of these compositions wants to fight, when they want to go for these plays. When I look at FPX's comp, yes, they have some scaling, but they also have that ability to go in at that level 5 at those first couple objectives. Game 1 loaded onto the Rift. Flash Wolves versus FPX for our first series of group stage.
And what a series to start this one off with. We see FPX already. I love the Fog of War toggle here, being a bit cheeky, but just going for the mid lane push. This is what you want to be doing against Twisted Fate. You want to keep him locked in lane. You don't want to let him be able to move around. Trethen plays with Gold Card. And right now, just like that, Flash Wolves get a lead.
Good trading, though. Leia actually taking a lot of hits right now. Syama as well. Bruce.
That's what I love from the guy.
Pick.
He knows his limits. He knows when he can play aggressively. And that's kind of why I say that I love seeing Bruce in the Dragon Lane position as well. He's one of the few Dragon Laners that will test the limits of his champion. Walk up in your face, hit you, trade shots, and dare you to go in on him.
And based on how the mid lane had gone, we still expected Syama and Lei to then get level 2 first. But because of that poke, because of that pressure, Lei actually goes for a reset. We have an Ignite top lane, though. Fado almost gets the 1v1 against Ysera.
And Ysera had the counter pick here, Kangas. Fado showed his pick on 3rd pick red side because they revealed that it wasn't a flex. They revealed that it was going top. Ysera had his choice of counter picks. He went for the Akali into the Wukong, and he already got forced to flash, forced to use his barrier. It's not a good start because he needs to be a point which FW can play around in the series. You give Fado a lead, he can easily run away with the game.
Not ideal, but we saw this is how Ysera likes to play, very fast. But the rest of Flash Wolves, they say, Ysera, just survive, because we're going to put some pressure bot lane. Here's the Dark Binding. Salma could be in trouble right now. Cookie doesn't commit the flash forward to get the stun, and it actually is FPX maybe coming ahead, but first blood, the Flash Wolves jungler still alive. Flash Wolves might just get out, but 7-Eleven has a different plan and trades 1-for-1. Flash from Salma. There they go. The double knockup. Lei is a monster, and 7-Eleven's the one that benefits.
No, that's just FPX, Kangas. Against any other team, Flash Wolves win that one. They win that skirmish, they take that trade. But FPX played the fight to the absolute mechanical limit, flashing at the right time, going back in on the right time, playing around their CC cooldown so extremely well.
It looks so good for Flash Wolves to start.
It starts off well.
Yeah, Flash Wolves, they just, maybe they stay a little too long.
Yeah, this is Bruce right now. He overstays 100%. He thought they could keep going, but all the spells were down for Flash Wolves. FPX, they know their timings, and they just go in. They hold their flash for so long on Xiaoma and Lei as well. Just amazing stuff, mechanically. So good.
Flash Wolves, gonna be checking under their bed, gonna be checking in the closet, behind the door. The coat hanger's the big one. That's where you usually see monsters, but I think they're seeing them on the Rift right now. Fado has the help of Lei on Ysera right now. Ysera's actually doing a decent job.
Yeah, pretty good trade right there from Ysera with the Shroud so hot to kill. But he just wants to buy some space for Fado. That roam from Lei actually worked out pretty well at the end of that one. And this was actually a set play that Flash Wolves had went for before. If you call back to some of their earlier series in play-ins, they love to play around Bruce. It's a Bruce-focused team. You will stack and try to dive on his lane. FPX are the first team to answer back on that play.
And Flash Wolves also typically will go for longer games. I'll get back to that as Ysera might go for a longer fight than Fado. Lands a shuriken flip, doesn't want to take it though, Cyclone's available. But Flash Wolves, they're a team that will play early games relatively slower and then just look for those objective fights. That's where they really start to get aggressive.
Yeah, but then that's kind of a problem against the WRL teams too.
Oh, gank in the mid lane, Baya picked off. Again, Lei, he's just everywhere on this map.
Yeah, nowhere for Baya to go. That was a great combo as well. They chained up the Valkyrie into the springboard from Lei there. Great combo coming in from FPX to start this one off. 4 minutes on the board.
And Yezi on FPX, number 1 seed from WRL, going the Hullbreaker Corki. It's received a lot of criticism. Twitch chat, you better be watching right now. YouTube chat as well, wherever you're viewing the game. Whatever your opinion is, we are seeing Yezi pick this build right now.
Look, I'm actually a fan of the Hullbreaker and the Corki. I think it's something you have to go for if you ever want to be side laning, if you want to be scaling up. And it's kind of an arms race as well. If you don't have the Hullbreaker, it gets so much harder to play side lanes, especially if your opponents are going to pick it up. This time, Flash Wolves have no Hullbreaker buyer. That's the good side. But that just means that Yes is going to be unmatched, basically, in the side lane.
He can get shove. He's very little danger of him getting ganked and dying in a side lane. That's the biggest part about this Hullbreaker, is you can just free scale as the Corki now picks up the package, because if you look at the timers, 5 seconds and we got objectives.
Yeah, the Klaxons are here, ringing out loud for Yezi coming in with the package. They're going to start off the Rift Herald right away, and this is something which the Chinese scene talks about a lot. The high priority on the Rift Herald, it's something that WRL teams love, and FPX, as the best WRL team, it's something they love the most.
Flash Wolves had a ward on it though, so they spotted it out, and they push FPX off of the objective. 20 seconds in, and neither objective has been taken. It looks like FPX, they might just reset towards the bottom half of the map instead.
FPX want to go for a play first.
Oh,
Eason, very nice.
Interrupted by Eason. That was huge from the Gragas player.
But that just means that Dragon gets started off right now. It's so low.
And it's taken very fast. Flash Wolves see it with the Destiny Pod by Baya. Package used by Yezi as well. Ooh, and he gets away with the Valkyrie. Yeah, Flash Wolves, they don't find the pick. They don't find a TF ult flank, so that means a free objective to FPX.
Yeah, no picks from Flash Wolves because they play too slow. And FPX take advantage. They play around the Kha'Zix. That's one of his strengths. Isolation smacks down the Dragon.
Is bold.
But Herald's really low.
Fado has ultimate. Cyclone could be used to engage. Plus Lei going in there. Flash Wolves, they secure the Herald. Now onto Yezi. Flash available, but he's knocked back with the explosive cast. A kill and an objective over to Flash Wolves.
Yezi face plants into the wall, doesn't get the flash over, and Flash Wolves get both the Herald and the flash from, or rather the kill onto Yezi. He didn't use his flash. That means scaling factor does go a little bit over the FPX because they did get the Inferno Dragon, but Flash Wolves,
it could depend on how this Dragon's used. Could depend on Ysera living through this. Fado almost gets another solo kill.
The Vine Sundra power spike is just so big on this Wukong. And despite having the Herald, Flash Wolves are gonna lose the first turret.
Oh, this is the power of these Baron laners, plus something like a Kazik, something like a Lee Sin. You can take turrets incredibly fast. Flash Wolves will answer right back, and Yezi, Valkyrie's away, Flash loses the turret and almost goes down. Maybe a Dark Binding could land from Xiaohu, but doesn't go for it.
Yeah, just gonna back away here. FPX, for the first time this game, swinging out to a gold lead. Credits to Flash Wolves. They've been doing a very good job at maintaining an even game state, which is not something many teams can say against FPX.
Especially Flash Wolves, like this team that I'm more aware of as being the one that scales to the late game. Yeah, very slow.
They've got a slow draft as well. We might touch on the fact that, yes, they do have a Twisted Fate who wants to go for plays with his Destiny Gate. But if you look at the rest of the team comp, 4 champions that want to scale here on the side of Flash Wolves.
FPX still not out of this one by any means, though.
Yeah.
They are still favorites in this matchup, in the whole tournament. Our first look on them, much slower than I was expecting. Yezi also playing that side lane on the Hullbreaker. Corki has been kind of the focus for Flash Wolves' attention since we've gotten out of this laning phase.
And in the WRL, Yezi's normally the enabler for 0711. He does play the Corki quite a bit, but I like to see this adaptation. Now we play around you here, Yezi. What can you do for us?
And now it's lane swaps for both sides as FPX and Xiaoma and Lei into the mid lane. There's nothing to fight over right now, so I'm not expecting any explosive plays, which means Flash Wolves can continue to scale with their Jax, with their Senna.
But in a 1-3-1 setup, it's so dangerous for Flash Wolves, it's so dangerous for Bayer, especially if he keeps going to the lane without a turret.
Oh, I was just saying it,
Oh, man.
Looks like FPX had other plans, looking for the explosive play in the mid lane. They get Destiny out of Baya, they get Flash out of Bruce, and now Ysera fancies a 1v1 against Fado right now. Doesn't have the backup of the team, so will retreat.
They get the Cyclone out, that's something. The cost they're missing from Eason actually spelled the end of that play, but Destiny Gate was committed as well. They tried to fish for something, but FPX just too fast.
Lei is just going for these engages every time he sees them. I think he's got a challenge right now. If I see a champion, I go in.
Don't dive in on any champion challenge. Impossible. FPX, that's their goal right now. But you look at the side lanes, you look at what Jax and Twisted Fate are doing. They are great at taking down turrets.
I was going to say the Herald's a questionable one there, as you only get that, but you're right. It was to pull members of FPX into the mid lane so then they could make the play in the top half of the map. So it's actually Flash Wolves up in turrets and a slight gold lead.
But not for much longer here. FPX, you know they're going to trade right back. Is this the timing, though?
Oh, if there was explosive cast, Isan should have been able to get that onto Xiaoma. Black Shield's down, very low mana. And that's a turret, so still, Flash Wolves trading up.
Flash Wolves doing a very good job to keep themselves even with FPX. And of course, I'm surprised by that. We expected so much from FPX. And to their credit, they've kind of been delivering, but not at the pace we thought they would.
I mean, this is such an even game state that I'm actually favoring Flash Wolves right now with this composition. I know we talked about the strengths of FPX in this 1-3-1 setup. There's nobody that's going to match the Hullbreaker of the Corki. But Senna will just keep scaling up right now and is approaching 2 items here. Cookie as well close to that second item, the Death's Dance. And what could come down to this play. Like, if FPX get a huge fight here, this could blow open the game. Oh, gold card though in on Fado. It's Flash Wolves that go forward instead. Now big engage from Lei. Cyclone layered on top of it. It's down to the back line. It's a Kali almost just took down the carries into the Stasis. Jumps away. Supreme display of talent. Over the wall. Fado will get the kill. Nobody from FPX is down yet. Flash Wolves Cookie gets baited back in. Is he going to go down yet? With a blood auto attack. Gets it. FPX dancing on the verge of death. But they got their shoes on and they were ready for it. Flash Wolves lose 2.
They're so low though, Kangas.
Isan's in. Do they go for it? Isan's dead. He's just picked off immediately. FPX.
No one dies.
5 for 0 with the Prime Gaming ace.
How does nobody die, Kangas? Everyone on the side of FPX is so low, but look at how good their team fighting is. Look at how good their front to back is. They kite you out, they bait your cooldowns. The moment Ysera goes in, we thought he was gonna pop off. We thought that was it. As soon as how they kite around it.
Everyone goes on Fado, and then Lei says, I'm just gonna stop all 5 members of Flash Wolves.
That play right here. Immediately, all 5 members of Flash Wolves or FPX turn around for Ysera, shut him down, and nobody dies. They're just so good at kiting out the fights.
So close right there. Then Cookie goes too far forward, thinking he can maybe turn something around. FPX had all of their cooldowns. and played them beautifully. And then
That's
the
right, yeah.
re-engage, yeah.
They play around their pick spell so well. The moment the binding lands from over the wall, outside of vision, that's the end of the play. That's it.
And Fado with the Divine Sunderer onto the 0 armor Gragas right now. And now FPX, they might even find more.
Look at how good they are disengaging.
Fado goes back in. Cyclone is available. Hasn't used it yet, but oh, Bruce hit by the binding.
Oh, man.
If that was a bigger rocket from Yezi, that was definitely a kill.
They want more.
Oh, they're still going for it. Lay with another knockup. Another dark binding. Flash Wolves are falling apart. The monsters are roaring. And FPX fancy another dive. Fado gets a kill. And the Herald charges the turret.
In the last 2 sequence of events, FPX have just been completely outclassing Flash Wolves Kangas. They've been dancing around the edges of the team fight, push and pulling perfectly, and there just seems like nothing Flash Wolves can do right now.
This is some Wild Rift gameplay right now, Homo. This is top tier competition. Flash Wolves, if you give them an inch, FPX will take that mile, and Flash Wolves are learning that the hard way.
And that's exactly the analogy that they used to describe FPX in the WRL as well. They're a snowball team. They are the snowball team. The moment you give them a lead, the snowball's gonna roll and roll and roll, and you see what they can do with team fights. I'm even gonna go as far as to say that this is the perfect team fighting team here, FPX.
It fits exactly what they want to do. Multiple engage tools, multiple disengage tools, range to poke with, damage to burst with. They got it all. Now can they close it out, or can Flash Wolves weather the storm with their scaling, get this Senna online later in the game, get Bruce to where he needs to be?
It's gonna take a while here, Kangas. Bruce is 1.5 items. He's close to the Sunderer, but I don't feel like Flash Wolves have got much more time left in this game. The next dragon's gonna be the Elder. It's gonna be a Cloud, sure, but the Cloud Elder is the point here for FPX, who already have 2 dragons.
And they also have the Baron that they could even go for right now. Like, if FPX want to force a fight with a 5,000 gold lead before Senna even completes that second item, they could. They have Corki package. Yezi resets. Yezi's going for package.
This is genuinely a possible Baron angle here. Even if FPX don't want to finish, if you go to them, they will smash you in a team fight. Look at the death push.
Look at the vision. There's no vision for Flash Wolves in the entire top half of the map. Lei goes for the engage. They don't even need to go into the jungle. That's not a death rush, that's a death lane. Double kill to Yezi FPX. They're just gonna peel back for the Baron.
Kangas, Flash Wolves knew that that was happening. They popped the Destiny as the play started, but they were just 1 second too slow. FPX just that bit too quick for anyone else, and Baron's dead.
Looks like Flash Wolves are gonna go for the Hail Mary. They need to find a miracle play, and it's just not going to happen. Baron secured, another kill picked up.
FPX, this game was even for 7 minutes, 8 minutes, and at the snap of their fingers, FPX blow Flash Wolves out of the water.
Now they got the Baron buff, they can start sieging on these turrets. Lei even tanks a couple shots to keep the wave alive. Resets now come in from FPX. One final push could be all they need to close out this game.
One final push is all they need to close out this game. They've got the items, 3-4 items. Look at this. Destiny Gate gets popped just as the flash from Lei over the wall comes true. They knew that that was going to happen. They knew the pick was set up, but they were just too quick on the side of FPX. And once that happened, it's basically all over here.
Lei has got to be the most impressive engage support I've seen all tournament.
Oh, yeah.
In one game. One game sample size, Lei is already my hero. As
Yes,
a
he's gonna
support
get
player.
caught, though.
Gold card from long range. That was flash from Baya. How
dead.
much time can he buy? Look at the mid lane. The siege is coming through, so Flash Wolves, you gotta get this kill and get back out
No,
of there.
he's not
Yezi's
dead.
buying time. Yezi almost gets a trade kill. Finally, Flash Wolves pick him up, but they
the
lose their
base.
middle inhibitor for it.
All that for a drop of blood, Kangas. They used the flash and the exhaust from Baya. I think they also might have used the exhaust from Bruce. All that to kill one Corki in the side lane.
One Corki. And Baya might just get engaged on right now again by
Yeah.
Lei.
Lei has no
Literally
flash,
anybody. Isan too. Okay, FPX back up.
They know it's 20 seconds to the dragon, but this could be a huge timing window for Flash Wolves. They have a 4v5 for a couple of seconds, but it doesn't seem like they can do anything here. They need to leave Baya to shove waves.
Yezi doesn't have package, but he just got
Yes.
teleport. So I think FPX are reading this. They realize, okay, we might have gotten a bad pick in the side there. Keep Flash Wolves in the lane. Don't let them approach the dragon. That is the play from FPX.
Well, there's nothing at all they can do here. FPX, once again, in full control off the river. Flash Wolves have to face Chan.
Yes, he's up. And that's
Dead.
just another pick for FPX.
Wow.
With the setup in the river. Flash Wolves approach and Flash Wolves fall down like dominoes. Cookie will also go down as Ysera doing what he can on the back line. There's just no hope. There's no chance. Ysera picked off by Lei. If you were wondering how good FPX were, could the monsters live up to the hype? Well, I think that question's answered here. Game 1 goes to FPX.
To any WRL skeptics, to any FPX skeptics, I think they very well answered all our questions that game. What a performance, Kangas.
It was one play, and then suddenly this even gold state, this even game state, this Flash Wolves, they were trading turrets, trading lane priority, trading pushes, diving bot, and it all falls away. FPX turned that one play, that one objective fight into so much more on the map, and that is the power of the WRL. We've seen this, hints of this, from all of the seeds coming in from China, but this specific example was like to an extreme level.
Yeah. This was the full strength of FPX, of the WRL, shown here against Flash Wolves. Unfortunately for them, they are going to be the crash test dummies for us to experience what FPX can do. And if you guys were skeptical about why we called this the group of death, so why we said this is going to be the hardest group, well, FPX is one of the big reasons for that.
Flash Wolves are not a bad team by any stretch, but FPX just showed what they are capable of, and now we go back to the drawing board, go back to the coaches' booths. Both these teams get to reassess how that game 1 went. Flash Wolves will need to find something else in the tank to try and bounce back here. So to hear more about that, let's bring back Mika and the analyst, because I can't wait to hear what their thoughts were.
Woo, I think
Good
that's
luck
pretty
breaking down that
pretty
one.
much it. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a smoother game here at Icons 2022. And it was like, you know, for FPX, they made Wild Rift look like the simplest game in the world. And we all know, Stuart, that it is not. And you mentioned this from the draft alone. FPX were up to something.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I spoke about before this series, I was like, Flash Wolves have to adapt their draft. They have to do something a little bit different. And looking at the draft as well, you know, they took away the Senna, they took away the Jax as well, but you still give like some other picks over to FPX. You know, the Wukong did very, very well. The Corki as well did so much, but Flash Wolves adapted really well. I feel like their draft was a lot better this game to what they did against Nova, for example, because they gave away so many power picks last time, but this time, they got some of the power picks themselves, and the early game went pretty well for them, but then it was just like one team fight, and that was it. Then FPX, you know, as Kanga said, you give them an inch, they take a mile.
Yeah, Flash Wolves was keeping up for the first 7 to 8 minutes, which I find very good already, right? Like, they were able to keep up with FPX throughout the early game, and they were kind of looking like an even team, because it was going all nice and well, you know, they were getting kills, and it was going on. They were actually even down kills, but they were still ahead in gold at some point. So, you know, there is definitely potential for Flash Wolves to keep up, but the thing is, you know, they made mistakes. FPX, on the other hand, made 0 mistakes. I mean, besides like very, very minor mistake, that was essentially like a perfect game. So that's how they accelerated their lead, and they just won the game against Flash Wolves.
And that was just game 1.
That was just game 1.
That was just the first game.
This was warming up.
Exactly. I doubt if they've even broken a sweat, because, you know, for FPX, as I mentioned, they made this look so, and it just seems like FPX, if, for example, if Flash Wolves does, you know, advance, does push into them, they know what to do. They know how to retreat. They have that plan B, plan C, plan D. They know exactly how to bounce back whenever they're being pushed ahead.
So right here during this play, you saw that little mistake that they made, which gave away first up. But here you can see,
Beautiful.
one thing they can do, like, they'll catch it, right? That their mechanics are so incredibly good. And the other point is you just can't make any slight mistakes against FPX, because this is what happens, right? They'll just flash you with Morgana, root you, and they'll kill all of you. And we saw that throughout every single fight, right? Like, Flash Wolves made tiny mistakes, and boom, 5-man knockup by Rakan, right? Like, that's the retribution that FPX did, and they just did it every single time.
And Stuart, you mentioned this. Lei, definitely one of the players to watch out for. The Rakan.
Yeah. He showed it in this first game. You know, I said before this series, I was like, Lei is a person to watch. He's a player to watch for FPX. And he showed in this game as well, you know, his Rakan, his engage setups constantly throughout this entire game. He was just there. He was at the forefront, and he was the one that was making them engages, you know, 5-man knockups, multi-man knockups, even a single knockups as well, getting catches across the map as well. And, you know, in the early game, Flash Wolves got a few picks. They played a little bit aggressive. They kind of took it to, for FPX as well, and I give credit to them for that. But but Lurty on this Rakan throughout this entire game on the Rakan is one of the best Rakan performances I have ever seen.
But everyone really, like, the whole roster of FPX played so incredibly well. Like, if I'm thinking about it, they all did so well. Like, every single lane did good. During team fights, everyone did their job because there were multiple occasions where FPX just killed everyone and they were sitting at, like, 1 HP, like, at nothing. But every single time, they all knew their limits. Everyone knew what they had to do, and they executed it perfectly.
And I just want to point out how Flash Wolves, it did seem like they did their homework. They did know to anticipate FPX, especially in the early game, like you mentioned. But it just appears that FPX, they also did their homework. They also knew that, okay, Flash Wolves is probably going to do this, and they were just one step ahead. And that's always been the storyline here at Icons 2022. The WRL teams are always one step ahead. FPX, it seems like, even more so. So, you know, Stuart, right now, as of course, we're looking at, you know, the post-game stats over here. Flash Wolves, they did have a window. At what point do you think they lost it?
I think it was around that Rift Herald, really. You know, the 5-man engage.
Yeah.
And it was a really, really close fight as well around that Rift Herald when Lee got the, you know, the huge 5-man knock-up. But then just no one on FPX dies. It just feels like the game just handed it to them, you know?
I mean, look at that gold graph.
The game was, yeah, look at
that gold graph. This is what I mean, right? Like, it was super even. One mistake and it just plummets all the way down. It's crazy how FPX does this. Like, that's basically the most punishment you'll ever be able to inflict when an enemy makes a mistake, right? Like, you just plummet the entire gold graph to your side and you just win the game. Crazy.
Exactly. And you know, it just feels like, you know, that's probably exactly how FPX play. They wait for you to make a mistake because they know that you're going to make a mistake, and when you do, they're ready to it's over. They're ready to exploit that in any means necessary.
They're confident enough as well. You know, FPX are confident enough that they know that, you know, even though if they get a little bit of a, you know, a goal deficit in the early game, they know that they're confident enough. They know that they're better than the opponents. So that all they need to do is just stay as a group, stay composed, and then when it gets to them team fights, you know, around the Rift Herald as well, the 5-man knockup by Lee was really, really good, and just insane performance overall. And to be honest, you know, like I said, you know, Flash Wolves, I feel like they adapted their draft very well compared to Nova, but still, FPX is just, they're just too good.
I mean, look at these stats as well. 18 kills, 3 deaths, every dragon. You know, like, this is it. This is what the best team has to offer. And I feel like, as I said, I feel like this is still warming up. They have more by them because Flash Wolves was keeping up with them in the early game. We said that. I feel there is an even better FPX that's going to be coming in the future.
Yeah, exactly. That was just a warm-up.
Yeah.
That was just a warm-up. I just want to point out as well that 51, that was probably Louis. That was probably all him. That was probably all him on that stat. But yes, FPX, it appears as though, you know, this is as Kangas mentioned, this is a sampler of the top seed of the WRL. And now that we're heading into game number 2, I'm really wondering what Flash Wolves can pull out. I'm pretty sure that they do have a game plan for this, especially now that they know how FPX plays. But you know, when the only game plan is basically just to wait for you to make a mistake, and we know that you're gonna make a mistake, I mean, hell's Flash Wolves, what can they pull out for game 2?
I still stand with my point that they have to out-rotate FPX, because we saw it, FPX, they didn't really do too much in the early game, right? Like, sure, they didn't make mistakes, but they were not as proactive as I expected. So as Flash Wolves, you can constantly roam around, which they're known for, right? With Baya, Bruce, and Eason. These are all players that like to roam around a lot. This is what they need to do. Roam around, get some ganks, get your players ahead, and then force those objectives. You have to be like, that's how you have to play it out.
That's the crazy thing as well, is that Flash Wolves were the ones being aggressive in the
They have to be more aggressive, even more.
I mean, they're the ones that made that aggressive play, you know, through the bot side. But the problem was is that they went a bit too aggressive. They went underneath the,
so be aggressive and do it perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you need to be aggressive, but don't be over-aggressive at the same time. Because like you said, you know, if you make that little mistake, if you make that little bit of an overextension against FPX, then they'll take everything. You know, in the early game, we saw on the replay as well, the little bit of aggression from Flash Wolves. They tried to take advantage in the bot side of the map, but then FPX just came back afterwards as well. You know, the knock up from the Rakan, the Morgana flash binding as well, and they just used it. They just counter-engaged afterwards, and they were able to get a few kills in the early game. Even though they were down gold, they still have that confidence because they knew that they could win their early game team fights.
And that's what I think is what's so remarkable about FPX. It's a thorough understanding of their win conditions. So they know, you know, that they don't need to win this fight. Sure, fine, you can have it. They're not gonna panic.
Yeah.
And they know when exactly, like, you know, for Flash Wolves, if they're gonna gonna push like this much with this seconds, that's like they've already computed the how exactly to win the game.
Morgana already knew. I'm gonna flash, I'm gonna root, and we're gonna win this, right? Like that's truly what it felt like with FPX, where they like knew exactly what to do. Because during team fights we saw it as well, right? Like it just felt so good. It just felt so nice and smooth how they were team fighting. You know, the Rakan is at 1 HP, he goes out, and then he goes right back in, and then he goes out again. Like just making use out of every single tool they had.
Now, Stuart, jumping into game number 2, I believe Champ Select is just about ready. You mentioned, though, that Flash Wolves, they were on the right track with what they were doing in the draft earlier.
Yeah, they were taking away the champions from the Chinese teams, you know, the Senna, the Jax. They gave away, you know, I think Wukong is actually a really crazy priority pick now that's suddenly started to shot up. We saw like a lot of Lucian priority at the start of play-ins, but now that's kind of gotten away and Lucian's not really a priority anymore. Now it's the Wukong. The Wukong is at the top as the #1 priority champion, I feel like, you know, with the likes of Senna and these other champions as well. Flash Wolves are going to stay on the blue side as well, which is quite interesting. They're going to try and get that first pick priority again. But yeah, you know, Wukong, really, really strong. Can be played in the jungle, can be played in the Baron lane as well. I think Fado had a crazy performance on that Wukong in the first game as well. And we're going to go into draft now. We're going to see if, you know, Flash Wolves come up with something a bit different, but honestly, what else do Flash Wolves have in the tank again?
I love the Senna pick, however. Like when Flash Wolves picked Senna the last game, they had a lot of pressure in the Dragon lane, and that's obviously how they can push their advantages. So I assume FPX is going to be banning out that Senna, or they're just going to be like, no, we're going to deal with it again.
I mean, the problem is that Bruce is not really known as a Senna player.
Yeah,
you know, Bruce is
right?
known as this aggressive hyper carry, AD carry. You know, he played AD carries in the mid lane when he played it during the SEA finals. He played the mid lane, he played these AD carries in the mid lane. He's not a Senna player. And, you know, interesting enough, FPX are going to ban it out. So now it's like Flash Wolves. Do you pick Jax maybe? Do you maybe pick the Wukong? You know, there's some other priorities. Singe we actually didn't see get picked or banned at all in the previous game, which is quite interesting. But there's still a few priority picks that could be picked by Flash Wolves. So now it's like, you know, you have to pick one, but then FPX get to take 2 instead.
The one thing that FPX was struggling with, they banned away. And now a Galio is also open, which is, we know how good of a combo it is with the Camille. Because you engage, right? And then the Galio follows
Camille's
up.
right behind us, by the way.
Somewhere.
Camille's right behind us.
Oh,
I can confirm this. She's standing right behind us. It's kind of scary.
And there's the Wukong as well, right? Like
there you go, same picks.
Yeah, this is what FPX does, right? Like they just ban away the Senna, so there is no more pressure. So now they have the same thing, and there is no more pressure in the Dragon lane. So this is not looking good for Flash Wolves right now, I would say.
But now the thing is with Flash Wolves is that they have the lockdown potential from the Camille, which can help them out a lot in team fights as well, because I feel like that was kind of what they were lacking in the previous team comp. You know, they had the likes of like a Jax, a Carly, Senna and everything, but the problem is that they didn't really have that lockdown. They didn't really have that guaranteed engage. You know, you talk about FPX with Wukong, you have the guaranteed engage. You talk about the Rakan and the Morgana as well. They had this crazy engage, but Flash Wolves didn't really have that. They had a lot of hyper carries, but they didn't really have that engage that they needed, the guaranteed engage, you know, when you can press your ultimate, get the knockups, get the engage. And now Flash Wolves, you know, they're going to pick Jax again. They might go for the Gragas again as well, kind of for the disengage, but I'm not too sure if they are going to go for the Gragas. They go for the Singed instead. That's a nice adaptation.
This is a free Morgana pick for... They actually go for Kha'Zix instant. I was going to say this is a free Morgana pick, but they just they stick to their guns, right? Like FPX sticks to their guns. They go for the Kha'Zix again. 0711 did a phenomenal job on that Kha'Zix last game as well. He was invading so often. He was like, he didn't die throughout the entire beginning of the game. He got some ganks out, so yeah, we're going to see him on Kha'Zix again.
Yeah, and what you mentioned about 0711, he was a former League of Legends pro. So, like, there is that extra dimension, and I feel like, for example, for those that have had that competitive experience on League of Legends, your anticipation, your mind, your gameplay, your game sense is just on a whole other level, and
built
that's
different.
Exactly. And we just saw, like, you know, a little teaser of what's to come from this player. But Stuart, as you mentioned, you know, the Singe is a good pick for the side of Flash Wolves.
Yeah, it didn't get picked or banned in the previous game, but maybe they thought that FPX were going to pick it up themselves. Now we're seeing some Dura laners being banned out. There's no Dura lane picks at all on either side. Obviously, the Corki can go down to the Dura lane, most likely being played in the mid lane. But look, I love FPX's second ban phase. The Xayah, take that away from Bruce. We've seen him play in the playing stage. We've seen how strong he is as well. Taking away the Lulu as well, so that's already a few supports you're taking away. Now, the problem is for the side of Flash Wolves, they don't have the the support. They don't have the enchanter there to be able to allow Bruce to play the AD carries. You know, Yumi's gone, Karma's gone, Lulu's gone. There's not really any other enchanters that Bruce can play with an AD carry. And now obviously his Zaya's gone as well. The Morgana ban's really good as well, as you mentioned, Helge. You know, Morgana's a really, really good pick against the Singe, the Camille, and the Jax to stop all the crowd control as well. Now FPX, they're probably going to pick their support here to leave that Corki maybe as a flex in the bot lane or mid lane. But now it's down to Flash Wolves. I want to see maybe Bruce pick up a hyper carry or something. But like I said, they don't have an enchanter by the side as by his side now.
Yeah, that's the problem that Flash Wolves has right now. And then also the Ziggs, right? Like you can't go in super easily when you're playing the Jax. It's going to be a dry Jax going into that composition of FPX. So they're going to have a very hard time.
Look at Ziggs!
Yeah, look at him. There is no enchanter.
Can you smell the gunpowder?
Oh,
I
yeah.
can smell the gunpowder here
He's
from the
thirsty.
I love how we're really looking back as if we're good. Well, I mean, we do see them. No, let's not break the magic. We do see them. Of course we do. But Stuart, you did mention how because of the bans and the enchanters, part of the strategy for Flash Wolves was to always enable Bruce. And right now, what you're seeing, the Lucian picks and the Nami.
This is a really aggressive bot lane for the
I
side
like
of Flash
it, again.
Wolves. This is a Flash Wolves saying, okay, we want to go in, we want to play aggressive. This is a very, very classic combo, you know, in PC League of Legends and also in Wild Rift as well. Very aggressive. This is Lucian dashing in with the Nami's third ability as well. Playing aggressive, and especially when you're against most likely a Ziggs in the bot side as well. When you're playing against that Ziggs, you want to play aggressive, you want to go in, but the counter engage as well from the Thresh as well. This is something well, he did play one game and he did actually get MVP on the Thresh before.
Yo, we've seen Mano Freezer on Thresh. We've seen Heste on Thresh.
That's right.
Now we're gonna see Lei on Thresh.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a treat indeed. And it seems as though our teams are locked in, and we, the analysts, of course, are so ready for it. As we can see, the champions standing right behind us. Believe us, guys, they are actually there. Kangas, Omo, do you guys believe us? We're scared right now. The Camille looks really threatening.
Look, I'm just happy that we didn't have to be next to the Kazakhs. The Kazakhs is terrified looking.
That's
that
what
one's
we were
definitely the
talking about
scariest.
the entire time.
Yeah.
Just don't let me near the Kazakhs, and the rest are okay.
Yeah, the Ziggs look kind of cute.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe not the
smoke around.
Singe either. The Singe is very scary.
Yeah, Singe is just kind of like a dude though, right?
You know, but he's a psycho. He's a crazy dude. Mad scientist and everything.
Fair enough.
Oh, but Ziggs is too.
Yeah. And Ziggs has explosives. What's scarier, explosives or poison?
Poison.
Yeah, that
I think
is
poison.
Yeah. As I asked it, I was answering it myself in my head. But we're into game number 2. The draft is completed. Omo, I gotta ask your opinions.
Yeah.
How you feeling about the adaptations from Flash Wolves?
I like it. I like it a little more. Well, I was gonna say I can't decide if I like it a little better or a lot better.
Ooh.
But there are some things I want to touch on.
It's better.
It is definitely better. And that's saying something because their draft last game wasn't bad at all. It was a decent draft. My concern with it was just the tools to carry. The tools to initiate were kind of in the wrong hands. Ysera was the carry, Baizia as the sub was the initiator. This time around, things look a little bit better.
Game 2 loaded onto the Rift for Flash Wolves versus FPX. We got our first look from the number 1 WRL team, and now we get game number 2. And like you were saying, as Ysera and Baya try and get the push in the mid lane right now.
Wow.
Baya is the sub coming in for Flash Wolves. Bruce, the normal mid laner here, now gets to be the carry.
Yeah, I want to touch very quickly on what Yezi just did. It might look like nothing much, but he just spaced the two of them, 2v1, and he chunked Baya out and forced him to go home. Just solid mechanics all around.
Ooh, early exhaust used. So traded back. They're trying to out-trade Bruce, and they are out-trading Bruce right now.
And it's really good as well because you're forcing spells away from Bruce. Well, I say that, but it's really just his rune that proc as well as the exhaust from Eason. Bruce still does have the barrier. That's going to be nice. But exhaust being down from Xiaoma could actually end up being dangerous because now the Lucian has the initiative to just dive in on your face knowing you have no exhaust.
And there's the potential, always with Nami Lucian, to just burst you down immediately.
Sick.
Yeah, there we go. That's that damage.
And I just want to let it be known that Kangas basically had this entire draft predicted as well. Right? We said that Bruce needed to be the aggressor this time around, and Flash Wolves hurt us.
I've just seen too many Lucian Namis in North America, man. I knew it was coming eventually. Baya getting ganked by 7-11. But the thing about the Lucian Nami, you really want to get kills in lane. You really want to push your lead because they're such a strong combo. The thing about it is Ziggs, you can play relatively safe. You can farm from far away, and then Lei is opened up to roam a little bit more.
And that's kind of what we talked about, right? Lei just wants to roam. Ziggs is going to be able to wave clear just by himself pretty much the whole game. My concern,
Okay.
I think he's fine.
Doesn't play Isan over the wall. Bruce actually, Relentless Pursuit's over the wall. They're all just trying to cover Cookie to steal the blue buff, but now Bruce flashes to safety.
no.
Big satchel from Selma as Isan barely lives through that FPX. They almost just got some kills.
This whole series of events is happening because Vaya is held down in the mid lane. He cannot move, he cannot rotate, and that just gives Yezi the space to translate his lead from the mid lane over to helping out his bot lane, making it difficult for Flash Wolves, forcing the bot lane's base here.
And now the exhausts are back up, but
Yeah.
Bruce doesn't have flash, so now it's actually the Lucian that could be in some danger here. If Lei lands a big hook, you might be in trouble.
Yeah, and my concern about the Lucian Nami, it's not about the dive, it's not about the Wukong. Oh, I think he went home. Oh, that's just
that
sad
was so
timing.
close.
Yeah. My concern isn't about the Wukong dive, it isn't about the Kha'Zix assassination potential. It's that the Lucian Nami just get outranged here. We talk about the double poke potential last game from FPX, they didn't go for it, but this time around, Cocky, Ziggs. You're basically never going to be playing on the same screen as the Lucian. It's going to be so difficult for him if he doesn't get a lead.
It's going to be difficult for a lot of these champions.
Yeah, that's
yes,
true.
Sarah is kind of like the longest engaged range they have. We were talking about Baya actually goes for the Rocket Belt first item, needs to find a way to get on top of FPX, who have a really strong comp to play from distance and kite back from your engage.
Yeah, so a lot of pressure is still going to be on Baya, but this time he has Ysera diving in with him.
This is what I'm talking about.
He's done this before.
Lays it in the Baron lane right now.
Yeah.
Shaoma just ults the wave. Ysera playing safe though.
Yeah, no Cyclone as well, so I doubt Ysera can die here. But that's just so annoying, isn't it? The Golden Staff smack you in the face. Once he gets Sunderer, that's going to be a very annoying combo as well. But Camille well outscaled in this matchup.
And Lei was really committed to staying in that that brush.
Yeah, very patient.
FPX shoving the wave now. They have the turret damage. Are they gonna hard commit? I'm watching 7-Eleven actually goes for the scuttle instead, but they have a ward, so they see Isan, they see Baya. So FPX, yeah, they can just go mid now.
FPX are making Flash Wolves so scared, and Flash Wolves have to play so reactively. They can't catch this. Baya whiffed it.
Oh, okay, he pulls back Yezi, but again,
Yeah.
yeah, the Valkyrie. It's so easy to get away. And, oh,
Ysera,
Ysera
no!
misses the hook shot, throws it straight into the lane, and now under turret, Cyclone from Fido.
Oh, he's
Ignite.
alive?
Oh, Ysera barely lives.
Oh my god, and he had no business living there, that Kangas, to be honest with you. He completely deserved to just get taken down. But unfortunately, barely not enough damage coming in from Fado and Lei, and Ysera will get out of there. Fado and Lei might have stacked their
I
ignites.
think so. I'm looking
Yeah,
at the
right?
ignites right now, and they look about the same.
Yeah,
So
that's what
maybe a
happened.
slight communication error.
Yeah. I want to kill, no, I want to kill, I want to secure it, and that just ends up happening. If they staggered it a bit there, 100% Ysera would have dropped now. Dragon's up.
Dragon is up. I have a rule for that one. As a Baron laner, I always let my support ignite first.
Yeah,
Because then I get the kill.
That's the secret. No, genuinely, that's the way to do it.
They're roaming, let them use the summoner spells for it.
Right.
Dragon is secured right now by FPX. They have the package.
That's good.
Via grounds flash
That's good.
with the knockback, but package used by Yezi, and now we can just trade the damage straight
Okay,
back.
I just remember what happened. I was pretty excited for a moment there. Then I remember Ysera
they're gonna
just
get dope.
used his out because he wasted his hook shot. So if he had out there, that would have been a kill onto Yezi. But unfortunately,
Yezi stopping the backs. He's stopping Ysera
can't
and
die
Via.
this though. This is a bit interesting to me. It's a bit odd here. I don't think you can force a play.
Maybe if they get enough poke.
They're
Death
trying.
sentence
Definitely
misses.
trying.
Okay, yeah, without the death sentence, there's no way.
Yeah. I would have liked to see Xiaoma maybe try to hover down towards the bot side, go for the Inferno Bomb, since they're all huddled under the tower anyway. But I think he's afraid of running into Bruce, because if you get caught out by the Lucian with the Stormraiser, he is going to solo bolo you.
First items completed on most of the carries. Except for Baya, who did go for that Rocket Belt first early. But again, it's Yezi with this Hullbreaker Corki right back in the lane.
Hullbreaker Cocky is going to let him play on the side lanes very well, kind of what we talked about earlier. And I do want to touch very quickly on the fact that Flash Wolves this time around, their comp lets them fight early game with the Sindh, with the Lucianami. So that means they get initiative on which objective they want to trade on. They get the Rift Herald. It's in the hands of Bruce, which is a bit odd, but we've said it before. This is the Bruce team. I think he gets whatever he wants. FPX, that means they trade the Dragon in return.
I know it's odd because we were just talking about how much range FPX have and
Yeah.
how difficult it is for Lucian. I do still like this idea of funnel Bruce. This is the mechanical carry on your team. This is the player that you can trust to actually step up in these high-pressure moments.
And he has to as well. So much pressure gonna be on this Lucian, who's outranged by the clock. He outranged by the 6, gonna get died as well. He's dead.
Hextech ultimatum onto
My
Yezi.
God, he's not dead.
Pops the stasis. He
Oh
gets
my
out
God.
with the Dark Passage. Herald will charge mid, but that is not a turret. FPX, they get their mid laner to safety.
And that's the counterplay to Hextag Ultimatum. One Zhonya's into the Lantern, Lurgy in the right place at the right time, as FPX is known to do. We are gonna get the bot lane tower though.
This is really big for Flash Wolves. We saw them in game number 1, have an even early game. They actually got a couple trades in their favor when it came to the turrets, when it came to the objectives, and this is 2 games in a row now.
Yes, honestly, Flash Wolves have been doing better than you could expect from them against a team like FPX. But FPX, once the team fighting starts, once they turn it on, it's just so difficult to play against. Decent trade in the top lane here, but that's just gonna be FPX backing away. 0711 still has the gold lead here. He's had this is something we didn't touch on last game. He was basically an item up on Cookie the entire game. And now he's still maintaining a gold lead. He's doing a fantastic job.
That's what the WRL teams are so good at. Yeah. It's like they don't need kills to get a lead. They're just that efficient with their jungle pathing, with their lane assignments, with the objective focus. It doesn't matter if you outkill them. You need to out-macro them.
Well, we say outkill, but in a WRL game, no kills on the bot just yet. FPX, they know that they're playing a scaling comp. They're content to just sit back and let that happen.
Baya now has an item completed. Also, 1,000 gold behind Yezi currently, who's just been farming up a storm and can just poke down the Singe.
This is something I heard on the WRL stream, and I thought it was actually a really interesting fact. When you play Singe against a Howlbreaker champion, you already can't kill cannon creeps. Once they buy Howlbreaker, that cannon creep is just impossible for you to kill, and we just saw what happened to Bayer when he tried to take down the cannon creep there. So that was so annoying.
Dive under the turret in the top lane. Cookie's coming in here for the counter engage. Doesn't actually commit to it though. Flash Wolves jungler not willing to go in, so that means no kills picked up.
Fada was just so tanky, man. The Wukong Stone Skin keeping him alive, keeping him safe there. Ultimates get traded, but now 10 seconds to the Rift Herald packages up. I feel like this might be FPX's timing to swing back at Flash Wolves.
They have a slight gold lead in their favor. They have lanes pushed in the Baron lane, and they get the turret now. 2 turrets to 1, they're already on the Herald.
They're gonna start this one off, and they do it so quick.
Watch Baya, watch Cookie. The main engage, the front line. Cookie goes in early. He
Cookie
just walks up and steals it!
Okay!
All right, I mean, that's one way to do it, Flash Wolves.
We 100% take those, and they get the mid lane turret without having to use the Herald as well. That means that's a tier 2 in the side lane that they are going to be able to take out with the Camille, with the Jax, and with the Rift Herald later on. Good stuff from Flash Wolves. No kills, but
big mistake.
Making it work.
Big mistake from FPX too.
Yeah.
Game number 1, we are saying off camera, maybe the closest we've had to a perfect game is the Coca-Cola pop-up.
That's the pop-up.
This is the pop-up. Woo!
But it genuinely is so big for Flash Wolves because they need to keep the pace up. They need to keep pressuring FPX because we've said it time and time again, they will get outscaled. Now Dragonfire. Oh no!
Right, they pull back in. Yezi doesn't have the package anymore.
Where's your
Valkyrie
glue
is
trap?
down. Watch for Ysera. He isn't with the fight right now, but Flash Wolves are approaching. They push FPX off.
They can just run it down mid lane right now, drop the Herald, exactly like that. Now FPX have to respond. This should be dragging the Flash Wolves.
This is a really big swing. If the SEA second seed can land this is huge. Odessa lands, so Ysera's already almost out of the fight. Isan's in trouble. They dive in, but FPX, again, their battle lines are just too strong. They get a kill. Fido actually goes down. Cookie with a massive stun onto the entire team. But FPX, they weather the storm. A double kill to 7-11. Make it even more. The triple comes through, and they're back on the dragon.
And they want Bruce as well. They're getting the dragon. They want to get the ace.
One snipe from Lay. That's all it takes. Oh, Bruce gets out with a relentless pursuit, but FPX, they already got their prize.
Man, Kangas, how good is this FPX roster? I genuinely thought there was a moment where Flash Wolves would have won the fight, but take a look at this replay. One moment of hesitation, one moment you're out of cohesion. Look at the Lantern. He walks up to Lantern, Yezi keeps him safe, and Yezi plus Xiaoma. The battle lines that you talked about, Kangas, are just too strong. They're too good at kiting. They work as a unit. 1 second you hesitate, and FPX will punish you.
And in that replay right there, we saw the weakness of the Lucian short range. Cookie goes back in, lands a stun on the 4, and Bruce, he doesn't know, do I go through the river and get in range of them to hit them, or do I try and get around the wall by the buff and shoot over? You don't have the range to shoot over.
Yeah.
Maybe they can capitalize on Cookie's engage there, but the short range from the Lucian means that Flash Wolves, they don't win the fight.
Yeah, and credit to Bruce, he still did his best there. 3,700 damage, out-damaging a Cocky and a Ziggs. It's not something that's easy
And
to
now
do.
he's looking for even more. Oh,
man.
They almost got Yezi, but maybe late will be enough. Ysera's even here. That's defused, and they commit the Hextech ultimatum.
Why?
Killing spree for Bruce.
But it's just so unnecessary. You need to keep the picks going. You need to keep pressuring with every single pick you have because Flash Wolves need to make plays. They need to outscale. Committing the Hextech ultimatum there cost them so much tempo.
They committed 4 ultimates.
Yeah, well,
for 1 pick.
Exactly. And on a support at that.
I mean, at least they get the kill. That's we need to funnel Bruce. That is the game plan from Flash Wolves.
And it's a very good game plan. We've seen what this guy can do. 3-0 right now on this Lucian. He's trying his best to make it work. And to his credit, highest gold in the game by a long shot right now. He's way ahead of Cocky. He's ahead of the Ziggs as well.
Now throws out the Culling to try and clear the wave, but Fado just tanks most of that. So that is another turret over the side of FPX. They even up the turrets across the rift. But Omo, we're right back to even game state. Yes, 2 dragons is the difference in FPX's favor, but we still have a game that could go either way.
It's much closer than last game, at least for now, but we know what FPX can do once you're forced to take a team fight against them at the Elder Dragon. Mid lane tier 2 is low. That's the consolation right now for Flash Wolves. It's easy to knock that turret down. They still have potential side lane win condition, but in a 5v5, FPX just look too good.
Interesting to note, though, FPX don't have a lot of vision control around this Baron. So that means that Lei is actually sticking around the area, keeps throwing the lantern over the wall just for vision. They sweep out Cookie. Don't get hit. Okay.
So close.
If he had been hit by that, that would have been massive for FPX.
Really
it's one of those game states where one misplay and you lose.
And that's exactly what it feels like right now. So tense from both of these teams. I love that. B coming out from Easton as well. He says, you want to try my mechanics? I'm quick on the uptick here.
Yeah, Easton passes the thumbs check. That's what we call those.
100% he does. One of the most mechanically skilled players here on the side of Flash Wolves together with Bruce.
And FPX now get them push in the mid wave. Now they have some vision down.
Yes.
Vaya, hard committing on delay right now. Again, it's the support who's locked down, knocked up, focused. And Flash Wolves throwing everything at Lei. They get another kill.
And I feel like it shouldn't be Lei that's face checking. He is the Lantern bot right now. That's his job in the team fights. Let Fado face check. He has the clone. He has the Stone Skin passive, and you can Lantern him out. This is the first time I think FPX have made a strategic mistake. As now Flash Wolves, it's a 1,000 gold lead.
Look at that gold graph.
But we'll take it.
That's a heart rate. That gold graph is the heart rate of. Well, actually, no. My heart rate's definitely higher highs and lower lows. That's heart rate of something right there. This FPX still in this game right now. Flash Wolves have the slightest lead.
The slightest lead might not be enough against 2 dragons and a better scaling team composition, but we talked about the split push potential now. Ysera and Cookie, both on 3 items. Camille can win you a game. Jax can win you a game. Let's see what they can do.
It's all about priority in these waves. Who can get the lane states so that you can actually walk at these objectives? The Elder's coming up soon. Fado goes in. The Cyclone is used. Lanterns to safety. Now where's the re-engage coming in? From Flash Wolves, Vaya goes in. Trying to stay alive as long as you can. Run out now.
No reset.
Singe Poison's doing so much work here as Ysera re-engages. This is good for Flash Wolves, but FPX, they just hold on for so long. They get the first kill of the fight. Fado goes forward. Double kill to 7-11, and FPX just cannot lose these fights.
And Kangas, every single fight, we say that this could be good for Flash Wolves. This could be it for Flash Wolves. And it never is. FPX are so good at resetting the fight. They just disengage, reset the battle lines, and come back at you when they know they can win. After the Cocky pokes you out, after the Ziggs pokes you out, and they earn their reward here. 3 dragons and an Elder Cloud Drake likely to close out this game.
It looks like they just have extra health bars.
They
Like,
really
I don't
do.
understand it.
Look at Loi yet again. They did what we said they should do. They used the Wukong to face check, reset the fight with the Lantern, and kite it out. Look at Xiaoma and look at Yezi. Look at how they position. They are never touched every time you try to go for them. The Zhonyas, the reset, the Lanterns, and they just outplay you every single fight.
And the way that they play, a crucial decision from FPX every fight. They never walk forward into the Singe. They always just draw a line and say, you're going to have to walk into us. We're not going that way because we know that we're going to be taking Singe damage the entire time. You have to engage, use your abilities, use your cooldowns, and then we'll punish you.
And when the Singe runs at them as well, they're so good at just picking him off. Target selection from FPX close to perfect. That's something we didn't quite touch on as well because everything from them is close to perfect, if not perfect. The moment Bayer runs in, you see his health bar just disappear because FPX pull everyone back and shred him out.
And as we saw in that gold graph, Bruce not able to do enough damage. It's a lot of pressure.
It is.
It's almost an unfair amount of pressure, but when you're a player like Bruce, the team is looking to you to lead. The team is looking to you to carry all the kills for Flash Wolves. They get another chance at a fight.
But Kangas, he's been outskilled. He can't even walk up the last two team fights. He's tried his best. He frankly really has. Uh-oh.
7-11. Wait, Baya. I think Baya was just looking at the shot right
1v2.
there. He wasn't quite ready. Cookie picked off with the long-range Mega Inferno Bomb. And Baya maybe burning down here, barely alive. Lei lands another Flay with a death sentence.
way.
Flash Wolves dying under their tier 2. And FPX just pull a play out of their magic hat. The monsters came to fight. FPX, doubters be silenced, haters be damned. FPX dismantle the second seed from SCA and pick up their first win of Icon.
And what a way to win it too. 0711 says, I've had enough of this game. I'm gonna go in 1v2, close this one out. You guys said Long might be the best jungler here. Let me remind you that FPX are the champions for a reason. And I want to remind you as well, this Kha'Zix pickup, I don't think he died a single time in 2 games.
I will have to check the tape, but that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
This level of play from FPX,
Insane.
when they decide to flip that switch, when they find that one play, the game's over. Like,
Yeah.
Yes, Flash Wolves had one extra opportunity to reset.
Yeah.
But by that point, FPX already knew exactly what they wanted to do. Pick off stragglers. Just force the fight. Force the engage. For once, we're not going to draw the battle lines. We're going to go into your territory. Go undercover. Monster under the bed, man. The boogeyman came to play.
The boogeyman is real, and its name is FunPlus Phoenix on your screen right now. 2-0 dominant win. It might have been slow, but I prefer to think that it was controlled from FPX. Every single team fight that they won, they just executed so well. You might say, yes, it is a team fight comp. It's easy to play, but look at how they disengage, re-engage, and like you said, drew battle lines. Fantastic stuff from them.
That team on your screen just beat Flash Wolves where they are strongest. These
Yeah.
late game macro, long grind out games where it comes down to the Elder setup, it comes down to the Baron fights. And FPX just outskilled, out-macroed, out-set up Flash Wolves.
And I think it's fair to say that FPX are going to be one of the favorites moving forward in this Group C, the Group of Death as well. Flash Wolves, unfortunately, they do, well, fortunately for them, they have one
They have
more
another
life.
life. Yes. Yeah, it is, of course, the double elim bracket
Yeah.
here in the group stages, as well as to hear more about FPX's dominant performance. Mika and the analysts, Mika, I'm sorry that unfortunately the SEA, both teams making it out, is now a little doomed.
I'm not looking too good either. I mean, like, come on, my predictions were all over the place. I clearly have problems here with this
She was in
particular
2
group.
minds the whole time. She's like predicted Flash Wolves, but the
commit.
bold prediction was 2 SEA teams out. It's like, what are you?
No, no,
what's
no.
going
I'm
on?
clearly very
It's-
confused.
It can still
It's
happen.
not being confused, it's hedging your bets, Mika.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
now
Exactly.
either way, you're going to be right at some point.
True.
Yeah,
true,
exactly,
true.
exactly. You know, I'm being smart here.
Big
We'll just
brain.
keep it at that. Thanks, Kangas. But yes, gentlemen, we just saw FPX play for the first time here at ICOS 2022. The verdict? Are they indeed the top team, the team to beat Hells?
We haven't seen the true FPX yet. This was too easy.
Well, yeah, I don't think this is the final form.
Right,
Not
this
the
was
final
too
form
easy.
yet.
So I'm not sure, to be honest. We still have to see them face up against the #1 seeds. This was Flash Wolves, who I believe is the #2 seed from SCA. So, you know, it's a great team, but we still haven't seen them face apparently like a formidable threat, because this was easy. This was easy.
This was easy. They looked very, very clean. They knew exactly what they were doing at any point
Oh,
in
yeah.
time throughout the whole series, actually.
Yeah, the early game was really close again, to be honest with you. I have to give credit to Flashwalls. The early game, the rotations in the early game from Flashwalls were really good. They got that early game gold lead. Okay, it was only like 1,000 gold, if that, at times by Flashwalls. But they got the early game lead. This game we had to wait until about the 11-minute mark until that big massive dragon fight before we actually got our first kill. The early game is all about the rotations. It's all about getting advantages across the map. Lei again, on this thresh this time was rotating around the map, trying to get advantages through rotations, through taking towers, through taking objectives. And Cookie got that Herald still as well. The big Coca-Cola pop-off, the Herald still right in the early game, which allowed them to get an advantage in terms of towers. But when it got to the team fights, FPX, just the reaction times, how well they can play around team fights, and knowing what they need to do in team fights just puts them above Flashwolves. And there you go. Here's the Herald still again.
Yeah, Hills, I'm curious if you do agree with that. If we did see that you mentioned that Flashwolves was indeed keeping up with FPX, but what did they have to do to really seal the deal, which they couldn't?
It felt like FPX was like a team filled with robots that played perfectly, right? Like you make one mistake, they'll fully capitalize on it, and that's what it looked like to me this game, right? Like you make one mistake, they catch you. They won't make any mistakes, and that's FPX for you right there. It's just crazy, crazy good. Yeah.
Everything was calculated. And I just want to say, there was that, one, I think it was like right after they went into the base where Lui was just tanking the tower damage.
Everything was perfect.
I feel like that's how I want to be in life. It's like facing my challenges. It's like, it's okay.
And carrying
I'll
the tower
survive.
for your friends,
And you're
right?
like, I'll survive. It's okay. And he knew exactly when to back off.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a prime example of how FPX just has every single thing calculated. It's almost down to the number of, how much damage and how much health they have and everything. And Stuart, I just think that if this isn't the final form of FPX, I'm just wondering what kind of monster we will be facing on during the knockout stage.
They proved in the series why they're one of the favorites in the tournament. I feel like, I think like I said, credit to Flashwolves. I feel like they played a really strong game themselves. It's a really difficult task coming up against the Chinese #1 team that shows how strong Flashwolves are as well. Especially Bruce. I feel like Bruce had a very, very good game. We didn't really like to see him on the center in the first game, but this game they played an aggressive bot side. Omo and Kangas mentioned it as well. For Flashwolves, they need to focus on Bruce. They need to get him on aggressive champion, try and give him that early game advantage. But the problem was that he just got outscaled at the end of the day. You're playing Kraken Slayer with Lucian, which for Lucian, in the early game you can get an advantage, but if you don't get too much an advantage, if you don't get a big enough advantage, then you just get outscaled by FPX, and that's exactly what happened.
Flashwolves was keeping up very well as well, because they got some good moments where they caught out the enemy. Yeah, you see, this looks a bit better. This looks a little bit better. It's a little bit closer, but they had some good moments with the Singed Protobot engages. Follow up and getting some kills onto Liu. But yeah, that was it. It was just a few plays here and there, because in the late game, FPX, they were constantly sticking together, constantly protecting the carries and just dashing out so much damage in those team fights. And Flashwolves, unfortunately, just couldn't do anything about it, because you go in, you take so much damage, you have to go back out again, and then in the long term, you'll just lose every single team fight.
Exactly, and I feel like the moments wherein Flashwolves were pulling ahead, it was just too costly for them. And it almost was like nothing was exchanged on the side of FPX. Which is like how they pretty much played this entire series. Every time it's like, okay, 3 on the side of Flashwolves go over and kill 2 on the side of FPX, but then they lose like, a tower, an objective, and everything else on the other side. And I feel like if you're facing a team like this, on this stage as well, you have to, you can't, like you mentioned, you can't make any mistakes at all.
But I like how Flashwolves played, however. They were not just playing passive all the time. They were going for it, right? Like they were going for the fights. They were going for the aggression. Like you can see as well, Bruce dealt so much damage as well. So they, in my opinion, they did good. It's just FPX is a whole different beast.
Oof, yes. And I think like that graph which pretty much shows just how well balanced everything is.
Yeah.
On the side of Flashwolves, on the side of FPX rather, they know exactly where to put, where to put the pressure on the side of their teams, and as well as how to build around their own win conditions, as we mentioned earlier after Game 1, Stuart.
Yeah, I think in the team fights as well, FPX did really well to kind of focus down Bruce in this game as well. There was the last team fight that happened where the exhaust went onto Bruce. Lei landed a really, really nice hook onto Bruce, and that delayed his damage. And if you can focus on the main champion on the side of Flashwolves, to make sure you shut down Bruce, then pretty much all of their damage is gone. That's the thing that they showed on the damage graph. You know, Bruce has like 20,000 plus damage, and then the closest one to him was like 8,000 damage on a Singe. You know, you can tell the big difference between, you know, Bruce on the carries and then everyone else that's kind of like just trying to help him out, facilitate him, and help him carry the game. But the problem is that if you have that one carry, and if that one carry does get shut down, then that means that FPX can just stomp the game.
Exactly. And, you know, again, I do have to point out Lui, who was just
so
amazing as well. And, you know, he was just tanking so much damage for the entire team. It was crazy, and I feel like this is like now one of my favorite.
Yeah, I was gonna say that as well.
Right now.
He's definitely my top 3 supports right now. You know, my current top 3 would have Heste and Mano Freezer. Honestly, not. I haven't thought of a third one yet. Perhaps I would.
There
put
you
him.
go.
Yeah, there you go. He's the third. He's the third one on it then. So let's see if he can go up to number 1 on my list. I think he can, because the games that he just they were so good.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm like, I don't know how else we can talk about the series, because it was just really FPX just being so clean.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. It's still the first day. This may not be the
They're gonna
final
get better.
form of
No,
FPX.
I know it. They're
Nervous
gonna get
laughter. Nervous laughter. But, you know, on the side of Flash Wolves, I do hope that they can bounce back, because, you know, this was a loss, but, you know, I mean, that's not to take anything away from them, because they were up against the top seed of WRL, you know, of that region. So Flash Wolves, I feel like they can bounce back. It's going to be a little difficult to close in for those top 2 spots, though.
Your bold prediction right now is not looking
I'm a little
too-
nervous.
Yeah, you're a little bit nervous now. But
Kangas was right. I was
mean, we
spreading
could-
everything out.
we could get like an SEA lower bracket now in this group. We could
Oh,
get,
please
you know,
no.
if Omega beat Burium later on today, then we could get Burium against Flash Wolves in a lower bracket where they have to one of them has to knock each other out. Which SEA versus SEA, that's going to be an interesting matchup.
Oh no, I cry. I cry. But in the meantime, let's head on over for a quick interview with D-Gon and our new hero, Lui.
Thank you very much, Mika. I'm here with FPX Le, and I just kind of wanted to ask to start things off, how was that last series for you? Because you looked fantastic.
想问一下，对于你来讲，就是最后一场比赛，你的感觉怎么样？因为你表现得非常的好。
就还是比较生疏吧，因为很久没有线下赛了。
Actually, it's not familiar with the venue because we haven't played such a big stage for a long time.
When it comes to gameplay, in that first game, your Rakan was so great, and in game 2, your Thresh was so great, and your team fights were so close. How do you guys always win close team fights?
就是你们两局的团战都打得很好，尤其是第2局你的锤石团战当中发挥得很好。你们为什么总是可以在团战当中表现得这么好呢？
就我们每个人都比较清楚团战应该怎么打吧，然后都可以很积极的打出那种画面。
Actually, we all get pretty clear about how to play during the team fight.
When it comes to Flash Wolves, did they do anything unexpected?
这次闪电狼有没有给你们什么意想不到的一些东西呢？就超出你们预期的。
好像没有吧，就比较正常。
Actually not. It's on our expectation.
What do you want to learn from the tournament? What do you, as an individual player, want to learn from the tournament?
你是对于你个人来讲，你想要在这次的 Icons 当中、世界赛当中学习到什么呢？
就因为我也是第一次打世界赛嘛，就积累个经验吧。
It's my first experience time to be on the international stage, so I think the learning stuff is pretty important to me as an individual.
So then, at the end of the tournament, what do you want the world to know about Li?
等到这次比赛结束的时候，你希望世界记住你一个什么样的标签呢？
暂时还不知道。
I haven't got an idea. I'm gonna think about it later.
Well, if it goes like how the rest of the tournament has gone, you guys are going to be really, really good, and people will know that Li is a fantastic support. Thank you very much for the interview.
谢谢你。
All right, Mika, back to you.
It's okay. He has time to think about his answer. He has all the time to think about it, because I think that FPX are gonna be here for a long while. We did see in the hype intro video that we had earlier, they mentioned that they're not gonna let certain teams stay in Singapore for very long, which I thought was such solid trash talk, by the way. That was so hype. But right now, I am incredibly hyped for this next series, and you guys know exactly